I've always been drawn to the stories where the bad guy gets what's coming to them. There's something satisfying about justice unfolding, especially when it's soaked in blood and consequences. And one of my favorite shows, Dexter, captured that perfectly. A killer who only kills killers, a man with a code, a monster hiding behind something that almost looks like mortality. But what happens when that kind of darkness isn't fiction? When someone in the real world decides that murder isn't wrong, just necessary. That a blade, not a badge, is the only way to balance the scales. Because there are people out there who lived by a code written in blood. They didn't hunt the innocent, they hunted the guilty. At least, that's what they told themselves. In this video, we're going to step into 4 of these stories. 4 killers who believed they weren't monsters, but something closer to justice. And the deeper we go, the more that code starts to fall apart. So, grab a light and let's step into the dark together. Our first stop takes us deep into Brazil, where a man named Pedro Rodrigues Filho became known as Pedro Matirdo, Pedro the Killer. But many would come to know him as something else, the Killer of Killers. Pedro's story doesn't start with murder, it starts with violence. He was born in 1954, already carrying the damage of it. His father had beaten his mother while she was pregnant, leaving Pedro with a skull injury that would follow him for the rest of his life. By the time he was 14, whatever sense of right and wrong he had already been rewritten. His first kill wasn't random. It was personal. A local official had accused his father of theft and had him fired. Pedro didn't see it as injustice. He saw it as something that needed to be corrected. So, he picked up a gun and he killed him. And just like that, the line was gone. From that moment on, Pedro lived by a code. A simple one. The guilty deserve to die. But a problem with a code like that is that you're the one who decides who's guilty. Over the years, that belief consumed him. He targeted criminals, gang members, people that he believed the world would be better without. And then, it became something even more personal. When Pedro learned that his father had murdered his mother, he didn't go to the police. He went straight to him. He stabbed him 22 times and made sure there was no coming back from it. And it wasn't just revenge to Pedro, it was justice. Eventually, he was arrested, but prison didn't stop him. It gave him more targets. Behind bars, Pedro continued killing other inmates. Anyone that he believed deserved it. By his own account, dozens more died at his hands inside those walls. He became something strange, even to the people around him. Feared by some, respected by others. Because to a lot of people, Pedro Rodrigues Filho wasn't just a killer, he was punishment. Now, his full story goes far deeper than what we can cover here. From the total number of victims, to how he was eventually released, and the life he tried to build after it all. So, it's one I will be stepping deeper into soon, because a story like this doesn't end cleanly. So, if you want to see that when it drops, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But for now, Pedro stands as one of the clearest examples of what happens when someone decides they don't just believe in justice, they become it. If Pedro believed in killing for justice, Donald Harvey believed in killing for mercy. He worked as a hospital orderly in Kentucky and Ohio during the 1970s and 80s. Quiet, polite, the kind of man no one really noticed. His co-workers saw compassion, his patients saw kindness. But behind that calm smile was a man who decided that life and death weren't just medical outcomes. They were choices. His choices. Harvey claimed his first victim after watching a patient suffer in pain. He said he couldn't stand to see it anymore, so he acted. A pinch of iodine, a bit of arsenic, and a pillow over the face when no one was looking. And each time, he told himself the same thing. This was mercy. He wasn't a sadist, he didn't kill for pleasure. He actually called himself a healer, a savior even. Over the years, Harvey claimed to have killed as many as 70 people, patients, co-workers, even his own partner, all under the same belief. He once said, "I didn't see it as murder. I saw it as putting them out of their pain." And honestly, maybe that's what makes him so unsettling. Because killers like Harvey don't look like monsters. They don't hide in the dark. They stand beside hospital beds, offering comfort. If Pedro's code was built on justice, Harvey's was built on mercy. And in the end, both led to the same place. A trail of bodies justified by belief. Some killers act on emotion. Others convince themselves they're doing something right. Alexander Pichushkin didn't need either. He was chasing something else entirely. Perfection. In Moscow, during the early 2000s, Pichushkin lived a quiet life. He loved puzzles, logic games, and chess. But somewhere along the line, the game stopped being about strategy and became about people. He decided his goal was 64 murders, one for every square on a chessboard. Each victim was another move, another step towards a pattern only he understood. Most of his victims were vulnerable, the homeless, alcoholics, people he considered wouldn't be missed. He'd lure them into the woods with a drink, talk with them for a while, and then strike them from behind with a hammer. And what makes that so much worse is how deliberate it was. People in those situations crave connection. Someone to see them, to listen, even for a few minutes. Pichushkin knew that. He used it to take advantage of someone's loneliness just to feed his own darkness. That burns me to my core. Some bodies were found with the bottle jammed into the wound, a grotesque signature that made sure no one could mistake who'd been there. When police finally caught him, they discovered a chessboard in his apartment. 61 squares marked, each one a life taken. He said he was only 3 moves away from checkmate. Now, this is one of those cases that goes much deeper than I can fit here. From the psychological precision of his crimes to the cold logic that drove him, because this is one of those stories that deserve its own full video. The more I looked into it, the more it felt like I was only scratching the surface. And honestly, it's an extremely unique case. Because this man didn't just kill for pleasure, he killed for pattern, for completion. And that's the kind of evil that doesn't scream, it calculates. Some killers build their own codes, others borrow someone else's. In 2008 in Edmonton, Alberta, a man named Mark Twitchell was trying to make his name as a filmmaker. He was intelligent, creative, and dangerously obsessed with stories of moral darkness. Stories about people who killed with purpose and control. But Twitchell didn't just want to tell those stories, he wanted to live one. He built what looked like a movie set inside his garage. plastic sheeting on the walls, tools neatly arranged, the floor covered in a tarp, a kill room, almost identical to something you'd see in Dexter. And that's exactly why he had to be included in this list. Because this wasn't just influence, it was imitation. Except this wasn't for a film, it was for a man he planned to kill.
It feels good getting the details right. It's more than just preparing a kill room. It's like I'm putting my life back in order. And it's almost enough. Almost.
He used a fake dating profile, pretending to be a woman named Sheena, and invited a man named Gillis to the address. When Gillis arrived, Twitchell ambushed him, wearing a hockey mask, wielding a stun baton and a knife. But Gillis fought back. He tore through the tape, kicked open the garage door, and ran, barefoot, bloody, but alive. He escaped the kill room, and that moment should have ended it, but it didn't. Just a week later, Twitchell tried again. Same fake profile, same trap. This time, the man who showed up, Johnny Altinger, never made it out. When Johnny's friends realized he was missing, police started digging, and what they found was something out of a nightmare. On Twitchell's laptop was a file titled SK Confessions. In it, he described every step of the murder, from the setup to the act to how he disposed of the body, half fiction, half confession. He called it an experiment, a test of what he was capable of. But there's no art in what he did, no purpose, just a man so obsessed with control that he decided to turn fantasy into reality. Mark Twitchell wasn't a man with a code, he was a man without one. And sometimes, that's the most terrifying kind of killer there is. Every one of these stories shares the same haunting thread. People who believe that killing could be justified. Justice, mercy, perfection, fantasy. All of them different reasons that led to the same place. A code written in blood. When we look at killers like these, it's easy to call them monsters. But what really makes them unsettling isn't just what they did, it's the fact that they believed they were right. They looked in a mirror and saw purpose, not evil. And I think that's the part that sticks with me the most. Because if you really try to look at it from their perspective, you can almost understand how they got there. I'm not justifying it, and I don't think I could ever do that, but I can sort of understand it. And that's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the idea of taking justice into your own hands, it's not as far removed as we like to think. I've seen how systems fail people. How things fall through the cracks, how justice doesn't always feel like justice. So yeah, I do get why some people start to think that way. But actually crossing that line, it's something else entirely. Out of all these stories, Pichushkin is probably one of the most fascinating to try and understand. The way he turned it into something so calculated, almost like a game. But Pedro is the one that sticks with me. The scale of it, the brutality of it, and everything that came after. Earlier, I mentioned I'd be going deeper into a couple of these cases, really breaking down who these people were and what led them to where they ended up. But if any of the other stories stood out to you, let me know. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, tell me which one you want to see me step further into the dark on, because honestly, there's always more to uncover. And sometimes, the most unsettling truths are the ones hiding just beneath the surface. And if you find yourself coming back for stories like this, the darker ones, the ones that make you think a little longer, then you probably should. Then consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around. I've got more deep dives like this coming, and some other ideas too. A little more mysterious and a little more fun, but still just as unsettling. So, until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and stay spooky. See ya.